Right, yesterday, or at least when we were recording this, yesterday we did our January roundup. And it's fair to say that I started off quite angry and then sort of crashed and burnt into just a realization of how bad things are. And Harley did things the other way around. But today we're going to be a bit more positive. We're going to try and keep it a bit more cheerful, aren't we?
Well, yeah, we've spoke about this, and we're going to try and be a little bit more upbeat. We've had our moan, and we're going to try and be a bit more positive in this one.
Yeah. We'll start by saying we'd like to thank everyone who's watched the video that we did previous to this. For those who haven't and are watching this one, I'm going to try and do this swanky YouTube thing, and it will appear here at some point. So make sure you give that a look. The overriding comments have been, we really enjoyed it, but it was depressing. So I think we'll take that, won't we, Harley?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not sure how you can do that type of video and not be depressing, to be honest. We did give everyone fair warning that it was going to be about an hour or so of two angry men. Yeah.
Right, we normally, when we do the Q&As, we'll sort of handpick 5 or 6 questions, but we're going to try and just rattle through as many as we can. Again, we're expecting this to be a bit of a longer video, but we think there's a lot of good questions in there. There's a lot of broad questions. There's also a couple of light-hearted ones thrown throughout. So I'm going to start, actually, if you don't mind, Harley, with the question from Matt Stackhouse, who asked, what is possibly the most burning question amongst the fans at the moment? Who invented the skip? Now, I've done some research, which I'd like to share with the group. And
is that a real question? Did we actually get that one?
Yeah. Yeah. And,
right. I don't know.
And Stephen Lawrence liked it, so we will pander to the people. Matt, I can tell you now, Edwin Walker invented the modern skip in around 1922. So that's that done.
There you go.
I hope you've all learnt something today.
If nothing else, we've come away knowing who invented the skip.
Now we'll go on to some of the lesser questions about Walsall Football Club. There's a few about formation, so I'll touch on one of them later. Walsall home and away had, which sounds like a really bad adaptation of the Australian TV show. There's been a lot I've seen about this, and how will early bird season ticket sales go? Harley, I'll let you kick this off.
The short answer is not great, to be honest. I mean, what is their selling point? Yeah. Unless they are £50, we're not going to sell a huge amount of them, are we? Because there's just no reason for us to buy them at the moment.
Yeah, I think with season tickets, we can also reflect that in the sort of match day attendance. I mean, Lee Pomnick came in and basically said target 5,000, whether that's season ticket holders, match day tickets, away fans. We get 5,000 fans through the door, it will make a significant difference to the budget. And I have no doubt that it would make a big difference. I think if that means that we'd be averaging an extra 500-600 fans a game, which over the course of the season is quite a significance. Mm-hmm. If you take into account any sort of food, drink programs, merchandise, any of that. But my big point is, what are you doing to get them in? And I mean, we spoke about this in the other video, but I think this question kind of is a good one to bring it up again. If there's nothing on the pitch, like the fans will go into every new season with a renewed sense of optimism on the pitch, because new signings will be made, players will go, and it's seen as a fresh start. But that's only going to continue for so long. And if it's going to end another back-to-back season of just pure dross, that renewed optimism isn't going to spread as far.
No, absolutely. And I think you'll get the kind of the Walsall faithful who will just buy the season ticket because that's just what they do. They do it every year because they love the club. No matter what's going on the pitch, they'll always get their season ticket because it's helping the club and that's what they want to do. But aside from that, like you say, what is bringing these people in? The people who are on the fence, the people. So you're looking at the kind of demographic of the younger people, let's say, so kind of 18 to 24.
Yeah.
How are you going to get them who don't earn as much money potentially as someone kind of a little bit older, 30s to 40s, 50s? How are you going to get them to part with their cash to buy a season ticket?
I think
what's the draw?
One of the big things at the moment that we've seen a lot on social media is the amount of freebie tickets to under 18s that just no one's taking them. And then your under 18s that are coming, or your ones that have got the free season ticket, they're not bothered about renewing when they're going to have to pay. Like, while it's free, it's free. Like,
yeah,
you offer anyone a free season ticket, they'll take it. It might go 5-6 times. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I think change is needed, and for me, the only way that the club will get good early bird and good season ticket sales are if they seriously address the major issues off the pitch. Because on it, I feel that will always there'll always be the renewed sense of optimism. And I think if you show the fans, you commit to them that we are going to try and change things behind the scenes or to make your match days more enjoyable, that we will make the catering better, we'll make the bars better, we'll do all of this. Fans will commit to the season tickets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on, Jimmy Bill Stringer has asked, do you believe that the club board/owner have done the maths and decided that relegation isn't all that bad financially, as long as the market, advertising and banqueting continue? If you don't mind, I'm going to start on this one.
Yeah, no, of course.
I think the good thing about Walsall is that no matter what level we're at, there is always an income stream because of the market, the advertising, the hospitality, which I know makes it feel that that the football's secondary, but at least we know from a business sense. I have it on good authority that when we were in League One, the outlook of the club and the outlook of people in the club was that League Two was the safety net. That if we had a particularly bad season, we're dropping into League Two and we're still in the Football League. Now we don't have that safety net. I believe that tune has changed. So I would say in response to this question that they probably have done the maths and they've realised that dropping into the National League would be disastrous and that trying to get out of it would be difficult. And we've seen teams being swallowed up into the National League and not come back. And I don't think that is anything that the club would risk. However, our transfer window suggests otherwise.
Yeah, and you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. They will have done the maths. They know how much it's going to cost us if we drop into the National League. You said in the previous video that after 2 seasons we'd lose the academy. That's a massive factor in this.
Yeah, because
selling on players and developing players, that's a revenue stream that we can't afford to lose. They know, and they will have looked at this. They know we can't go down. It's more the more important question is, what are they doing to stop us from going down and get us further up the EFL?
Yeah. So yeah, which brings us on to 2 quickfire questions. Will Matt Taylor be in charge in May?
Yes, I think he will.
I think so, and I think he will be the person that's in charge taking us into next season as well. personally. And then Blazing Sadler, is Swifty the best professional in the club?
He probably is.
Yeah, I mean, definitely up there. And it's not even a joke. It's true.
Mm. Yeah, I've seen him on match days in August, and he's absolutely boiling in that suit. And yeah, he never breaks kind of character. He's how he does it is beyond me. He's a testament to the great mascots.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. That's you should go on. If Swifty ever makes a Twitter, that's the bio. Luke Jones has asked, this season is over for me, so is there any point in wasting money on players that will only get us above mid-table at best? Stay up this season and then push next season. But how many years have we said this? It's very interesting, that point, because I feel that if Pomlet feels that we are safe, and the only options were a loan or another 6-month signing, I personally don't feel that we need them. I'd rather the budget get saved for next season. However, we have seen a lot of transfers for a lot of couple of year deals or 18-month deals for players that you only need to look around on the kind of the transfer pages and see how many deals were done yesterday, or as we're recording this, yesterday on deadline day, to go, surely we could have been in with a shout for some of these players. And that's where I kind of go, I understand the viewpoint, but I also think that a lot of players were terminating contracts and moving on frees. Why haven't we been doing that? And why weren't we doing that?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it's that kind of question, it can be broken down into two types of signing. It can be either a panic buy because we're in a jam, or it can be we genuinely need this player, or the manager genuinely thinks that he will improve the squad going forward and he's going to sign a long-term deal. So it depends on the type of signing we were to make. Someone like Rodney, clearly Matt Taylor has a kind of idea that he's going to be with us for a while, and he wants him in his plans going forward.
So obviously Menais as well.
Yeah. So that kind of signing, yes, we should be going out in January and doing that kind of business. If it's just signing for signing's sake, for example, I'll say you're from last season, if we'd have made that signing this season, everyone would be like, what's the point? Because we're not fighting for anything other than hopefully not getting relegated. So we don't need it in that respect. So it depends what the end goal of signing the player is.
Yeah, I think I really like this question. I think the difficult thing is we won't really know the answer until the start of next season. Because if we manage to go out and make some good signings over the summer and look in a real good kind of like shape, then you look back at this January and you go, right, the club were cost cutting, but it's paid off. However, if we're in a relegation scrap, we're going to be feeling completely different in March, April, May time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a point that we definitely will be coming back to when we look at the end of the summer transfer window. Richard Hall, have to say, Richard, you've been coming out with some absolute crackers on Twitter recently. Some really good points. What kinds of agency do the fans have? What kind of meaningful fan movement would you like to see? This is difficult.
Do you want to take this one? Do you want to start with it?
Is that you asking me to start with this, or
if you'd like to?
For me, I'd like to stop the squabbling between fan groups and trusts and supporters groups, because at the end of the day, there is one common aim, one common goal. It's to try and better the club from a fan's perspective and to try and implement things at the club that the fans would like. However, I don't think we are at the point where protests or fan movements necessarily are just or warranted. Yes, we've had a bad January. Yes, we are not in a position that any of us would like to be in. But I feel that enough is being said and done online and vocally at matches for the board and the club to understand the way that the fans are feeling. I feel that if things continue to decline, if we are, 21st, 22nd in sort of 10 matches time, then yes, I completely agree with it. But I think jumping the gun on protests and movements too early won't have an effect when we need it, and then again in the future if we were ever to need it.
I'm glad you agreed to answer that first, because I was struggling to think of an answer, and you've absolutely done a brilliant job there, Rob. What I would
You're going
say,
to go a brilliant job of saying the complete opposite of what I think.
what I would add to that is, yeah, like you say, I don't think it warrants any kind of major protest or anything like that. If you do want to do something, you want to make a point, make your point with your wallet. If you're not a season ticket holder, make the decision as to whether you think that whether you want to spend the money with the club, because you can hurt them in that respect and kind of make a point by not buying that ticket, not buying that iFollow pass. And if enough fans do that, it does make a difference, even if it's just not buying food from the concession stands or something like that.
Yeah,
little things like that, if fans do that, it can add up. And if you want to make your point, you can do that. I'm not saying don't go to games, but if you're on the fence and you don't feel like you want to, that's an option.
I would, yeah, I agree with that. I'd say that naturally, I think attendances are going to decrease, and I think the club already know that. One thing that I would say is the email addresses of people at the club that we would easily be able to contact are there. It's not a secret. If you feel that the supporter liaison is not acting in a way that you would like, then I would suggest potentially bypassing him if you feel that way. Many fans know I was emailing Dan Mole. We've had discussions. I've put forward the viewpoints of fans. I have put forward the polls, the results, all of that sort of stuff. And although we haven't agreed on things, we've had a perfectly civil email conversation and the potential of having a Zoom or a call or something like that to discuss other issues further down the line. For me, we need to be in a position now where, as supporters, we express things in a way that still mean that we keep our dignity intact, which I know can be difficult, and I know it is difficult because I reread the initial email I sent, and I could see that it was definitely a passion email rather than something that was more well worded. But it got the point across. And I think if fans are feeling passionate and you want to write to the club, the email addresses are all on the Who's Who page. You can easily contact the club. You can express your concerns. What I would ask is that however angry, frustrated, pissed off you are, try and keep it as civil as possible, because it then gives them no reason to not reply and engage in a conversation. And I think the more conversations that are being had between the fans, that will create more of a movement, in my opinion. However, I would be more than happy for people to disagree with me on that. It's just my personal outlook on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, moving on. Kincaid Fontaine has asked a couple of questions here, and there's one about formations, which quite a few of the fans have asked. So, given Fullerton's remit of delivering strategic direction, oversight, and management of the football department, are Taylor's hands tied with regard to formation, style of play? Is he under orders to play 4-2-3-1 with the players Fullerton has delivered? Now, we've had a lot about formation and should it be 4-4-2? Should we be mixing it up? So I think we'll start with Fullerton's remit and the recruitment drive, and then we'll kind of go on to formation. So Harley, what are your thoughts on the kind of the point raised there of are Taylor's hands tied, playing a specific formation or style of play?
I'd like to think not. I mean, that would be a bizarre way of running a kind of football club from a director's kind of point of view. I mean, his job essentially is to look at the footballing side of the club and get everybody working to the same goal, but it's also allowing specific people to do their own thing. It's just as long as they're working to the same end point objective. If that was the case, I don't think Matt Taylor would stick around very long, because you don't want to work for a director of football who says you have to play this system.
Yeah.
Because if the manager doesn't want to do it, he's not going to do it. To be quite honest, he'll go somewhere else where it's not as ridiculous. So I don't think his hands are necessarily tied in the respect that he has to play that formation. And it's hard to know, because we don't know what conversations are being had between Fullerton and Taylor. I mean, Fullerton's impact really is more to do with kind of the academy and stuff like that, and kind of it's maybe stuff with the players, kind of how their training sessions are run, and kind of getting everyone on the same page. But ultimately, the first team is the responsibility of the manager, and it's however the manager wants to do it.
Yeah, I think obviously Fullerton plays a big part in recruitment and lets Taylor be a head coach and coach the players. My big question is, what style, what system is being recruited for? Because it's certainly not 4-2-3-1. And I think a lot of fans can see that. It feels like we're just picking up players without really a system there in place that, right, we've been playing with this system, we need a new centre attacking mid, or we need a new striker that fits that system or can compete in that system. It just feels like, right, we need an attacking player, so we'll get one who can kind of fit a couple of roles.
Do you think that's kind of the naivety and lack of experience on Taylor's part? I mean, if you look at the more experienced coaches, they can tell you within a few minutes whether a player is going to work for them or not. Taylor, being that he's an inexperienced coach, he has an idea and a philosophy of how he wants to play, but he's never actually done it before. Yeah. So the players that are coming in, he's saying, oh, I want this player because I think it's going to work like X. And in reality, it works like Y. And the only way he's going to find that out is by putting it into practice. So I think when it comes to recruitment, there is almost a bit of a problem where he tells Fullerton what type of player he wants. But until he puts that system into practice, he's never truly going to know what he wants. And it's going to take time for him to develop the identity of the team and the type of player that should be within that team.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think it's a difficult question to answer purely because we don't know who has the final say on transfers and whether how much of a hand Taylor has in. Obviously, we know that he does have a hand, but it's how much of a hand he has in. I think now kind of goes perfectly into the formation. I'd say that, I mean, I personally would like to see a 4-3-3 rather than a 4-4-2, because I don't know where we go from a 4-4-2. I don't think Wilkinson's a right mid in a 4-4-2, but he's not a striker either. So it means that you have to put Shaden Kiernan, who's the central midfield too. I know a lot of fans want to see it, and to be fair, so do I. I want to see something different. But for me, I think a 4-3-3 where the midfield is one holding and two more box to box allows for your wide attackers to be more attacking, so that they're not just an attacking midfielder, they're more of a wide striker or an inside forward as Wilkinson would be. And I think that, for me, that's the system that we have the players for. And I know fans will debate that, and I personally think that there's probably kind of 4 or 5 variations that you could play. For me, I'd go 4-3-3 as a formation.
It's a tricky one. I haven't got my heart set on Taylor playing any formation. I just want him to try something new.
Yeah.
It's kind of gone from one extreme to the other. In Darryl Clark, you had someone who, as soon as he had a bad game, he'd change system.
Yeah.
Matt Taylor, he just refuses pretty much point blank, barring maybe 1 or 2 games throughout the season, to change his system. And we need somewhere in the middle. Now, absolutely, I think try a 4-3-3, try a 4-4-2, try a 5-3-2, some variation on that, because I think we may well just have the players to suit that formation. I mean, I think if you look at potentially like a 5-3-2, you can kind of fit all your players in that system, and you've got the 3. You could have Daniels, Month, and Menease as a back 3 who can play passes. That's a big kind of back 3. That's a big strong back 3. I think you've got the players for it. I think you have Daniels on the right centre back, Month on the left because he's left-footed, Menease in the middle, and you've got the kind of White and Divine who seem to be quite attacking fullbacks. So I think that's something to explore. I think it gives them a little bit more protection defensively. But I just want to see something new, and I want to see Taylor be a bit more creative with his tactics, show a bit of tactical nous, and be a bit flexible with his formations and his style of play.
Yeah, I'll admit I've never been a fan of 5-3-2. Purely because I think, I'm really sorry to...
It's just ruined my point there.
The reason that I'm not a fan of it is because I think at this level, if you're a wing back that can play that role and play it well, you shouldn't be in League Two. That's my thing. I think it leaves you short out wide. Mm-hmm. However, if it works, then I will hold my hands up and say you are a tactical genius. Maybe in some parallel universe, my 4-3-3 Walsall are playing your 5-3-2 Walsall.
Maybe. The only other thing I would kind of think about is potentially he could have a look at what Steven Gerrard's doing, because I've been very interested in how he plays, because he plays your 4-3-3.
I've not been watching much of Villa, so.
Well, what he did at Rangers, he's doing the same at Villa, and basically the idea is you play a 4-3-3, but you have really, really narrow attackers. So you have one striker, but then your left forward and your right forward are tucked right in, almost kind of like 2 cams in a sense. And then you've got a kind of more attacking centre mid. You've got more of a metronome, and then you've got your defensive one, so like a Kinsella. Yeah. And what that allows you to do is they rotate a lot, and you have a target man. So you have your Danny Ings, and then you have someone running off like an Ollie Watkins, and that formation could suit Wilkinson, because we know he likes to play that kind of right forward, right wing role. If you move him more inside, so his starting position is slightly further in than what he is now, it's going to give him more flexibility.
I think that allows for if the ball's being played on the left wing, your left-sided striker in that three to go out and be a winger while the other two are still kind of more central. Rather than it being a kind of like a spearhead, your wingers shift across into the middle. So if play's going down the left, your right winger cuts in to be a striker and vice versa. But as we discussed yesterday, all these systems rely on discipline, and you have to know your roles.
Yeah, and that's kind of the big overarching problem is it doesn't really matter what system we play. If the players don't feel confident, they're not going to be able to do it, because it's all about knowing what you're going to do, knowing where the next few passes are going to be, knowing where the next passage of play, what third of the pitch it's going to be in, and knowing that if you go past your man, there's going to be a runner for you to lay it off to. There's too much indecision in the team, and that just comes from that's all confidence, because their confidence is shot at the moment.
Yeah. Right, let's kick on because we've got still quite a few to go through. Gordon Alexander Hug. Answer why Fullerton holds the supporters with contempt by stating he isn't bothered if there are no signings. Utter contempt looking down on the supporters. I don't believe his phrase was that he wasn't bothered if there aren't any signings. I think he was just extremely relaxed about the thought of if anyone went, that they had plans in place. The thing for me with Fullerton is don't promise if you can't deliver. Mm-hmm. And I think I'll be very interested to hear what he says at the next fans forum, because I feel that the club's remit at those will be where they've been quite open and being quite, this is what we're going to do, and then not delivered. I think they're going to have to swap and do the other way around. I think they're going to have to start under-promising.
Yeah, he's made himself look like a bit of a fool, to be honest. Yeah. Because he said we've got plan A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever. He said if Miller goes, there's 100 George Millers. And that was the kind of idea for all of the players, that there's 100 Carl Rushworths, there's 100 Brendan Kiernans. But he hasn't found them, and he hasn't got them to sign, and that's kind of...
Oh, he's probably found them, but he's just not been able to sign them.
You know, that's the problem. That's what it comes down to, and you shouldn't say that. And I think it kind of... Maybe it's tricky, because at the fans forum, there's a lot of pressure on the people up there on the stage to say things that are going to put the fans at ease. And I think maybe he's gone a little bit too far with that. Yeah. He's tried to be quite relaxed and blasé. He's very relaxed. He's sitting back. He's in a position to show that he is absolutely, confident in what he's doing, that he's not worried at all. And I think he's oversold it. And maybe his words have come back to bite him.
That would be my first question to Lee Pomlet and Jamie Fullerton. It would be, why do you continue to make promises and make quotes that you simply can't deliver on? That would be my first question in an interview with them if I got the chance. If you're watching, the club have my email, so feel free to answer. But that would be, because I don't know enough. I haven't spoken with Fullerton. Obviously, we all had this discussion online about none of us being able to talk to the hierarchy at the club or anyone from the club themselves. But what I would say is that he comes across extremely arrogant. Whether he means to or not, it's just the way he's coming across. Because he says these things so relaxed, so blasé, that when they don't deliver, it feels like the fans are being taken for fools. And the only way the only type of people that would make those sorts of comments and act that way are people that are arrogant. And, there's a lot of rumours and theories swirling around about Fullerton. But from my opinion of him so far, it's just there is an arrogance there. And unfortunately, he's yet to give us the goods to earn it. I don't mind. He can be as arrogant as he likes if we storm the league next season, by all means. But at the moment, we're 19th in League One. League Two. Geez, that's a dream. We're 19th in League Two. No one should be coming out and acting as though they've done anything particularly well at the moment.
Yeah, and when it was in the kind of the minutes of the meeting they had, Pomlet touched upon the kind of the bullying culture. And what was quite an interesting phrase was when he was talking about Jamie Fullerton, is he said he doesn't suffer fools lightly.
Yeah, well,
and I think that only works if you're getting results, like you're kind of hinting, you're kind of getting at, but that mentality of this is how I'm doing it, get on board, or get out my way, it only works if you are going to sort the mess out, and you're going to put a plan into action, and it's going to work. And I think it's not working, but he's carrying on with that kind of, he's going full steam ahead with this kind of persona he's built up of this character he is within the club, that the role he's playing a bit of a pantomime villain because he thinks that that's what's going to work, and it's not working, and it's making himself look like the fool.
These questions, folks, the way you ordered them, brilliant. Nick Pritchard, have we progressed in any way on or off the pitch since this time last year? No.
No.
That was easy.
Yeah.
I think when I read that, I went, no. And then I went, what about since Lee Pomlet's been in charge? And I don't see many improvements.
Well, I kind of did a similar thing. When I first read it, I was like, yeah, of course we have. And then I had a proper think about it, and I was like, have we?
Yeah,
not really. I mean, we've got another manager who's flattering to deceive. We're still in a bit of a jam, in a tough situation. The club internally is no better than it was a year ago. The club is no better internally than it was when Pomlet took over. So no, we're not.
Completely agree. I think the only thing is we hear a bit more, we get a few more updates every now and then when it suits. And that's the only difference.
Mm-hmm.
And like we touched on in the previous video, there's only so much the COVID excuse can be used when other clubs are progressing and feel like they are making strides. Kev Gilbuddy, what price will season tickets be in the National League? We're not going to get there, Kev. We're going to stay up. That's my response.
Well, I was relying on you to answer this one because you tend to handle the kind of the maths and the research side of this. So I was hoping you'd have worked this out.
Oh, no.
What the average price was, no?
No, I just know I've been to a few of the National League grounds, and I know that you can get some decent dirt cheap away tickets to some real rough grounds. So, if that's the only sort of and at least Solihull Moors would be a good derby.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Oh man, that stadium's bad as well. It's not even a stadium; it's just a place to stand around a football pitch.
Yeah.
Eddie Atkins, it's less of a question, more of a statement, and I think it sums it up. Lost interest in this season, to be honest. The club can't be asked, so why should us fans be? Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything to say to that. I completely agree. It genuinely feels like when Pomlet said we are going for the playoffs like a week or two ago, I just thought it was. I just thought it gave me flashbacks to Dan Mole and Stefan Gamble at the fans forums under Bonser, when all they'd say when we were in League One was, well, we're trying to get into the Championship. And it's like, oh God, we really sunk to that. Like, be realistic. If you turn around to us and went, playoffs is going to be a real tough shout, but we are going to strive to finish in the top half. All right, it's not the most exciting ambition, but at least be realistic.
Yeah, and why should you be asked? Simple answer is you shouldn't, because if the club can't be, then we can't be either, because if they're not going to want to achieve anything, what's the point? You can still go to games, you can still see your friends, the beer tastes the same, the Balti pies, the best Balti pies of anywhere, so there's that. But other than that, not really much. I mean, I had a Balti pie at Bristol Rovers and it was awful. It was horrible. So at least at the Besket, you've got the Pucker ones, which are lovely. So there is that.
Yeah, though, is it the Wellington? The Wellington or the Duke of Wellington? Near Bristol Rovers is a pretty good pub. For like,
this was actually in the ground, and when I discuss a Balti pie, it has to be from the ground. And theirs was awful. It even had a little badge, a Bristol Rovers badge on it, which I thought was ridiculous.
Great. So I like the Mem. I think it's a really quirky stadium.
I think it's awful.
Oh no, I quite like it. I think
it's so poorly designed.
Yeah, but that's why I like it, because it's like, it looks like a kid's drawn it and then like folded a piece of paper and asked the kid next to them to draw a bit, and they've got all these random.
It's like if they went to the architect, what's the best way of getting the home and away fans to have a fight? And that's what they came up with, because they put the exits are right next to each other. The stands are literally on top of each other, pretty much. The most entertaining thing about that game was, the home fans and the back and forth between them and us. I'm not a fan.
I think in League Two it's a decent little stadium. There's worse.
There is worse, yeah.
Ross Allen, do you think that bringing in Devancy Rodney and Reece Devine will give us that boost to have a good end to the season? I think Devine will make things a bit brighter in defence, maybe a little bit more positive. To be quite honest, I don't know enough about Devancy Rodney, because all I've got in my head is from Port Vale. And my only real memories of him playing have been for Port Vale. And fortunately, we've had quite a good record against them in the last couple of seasons. So my memories aren't great on him, but as with any signing, I will be open-minded. I think the issue is that we're not listing 4 or 5 players that we're like, oh, do you reckon these could turn things around? It's just 2.
Yeah. Thankfully, 50% of us have done a little bit of research on Devancy Rodney.
Yes. Snap. Is this going to be statistical or like tactical or analytical?
I've just asked around a bit. I'm closer. I'm about half an hour away from Burslem, so obviously I know a lot of Port Vale fans.
It's okay, Harley.
Yes. Sadly, I know a lot of Port Vale fans, and I've asked around about them, and what I can tell you is that he is good in front of goal. He's really fast. He's a kind of striker come winger, so he can kind of do either. But he falls into the kind of the Connor Wilkinson category, which is he's a bit lazy. He's the type of player. The way I got explained to me was he's a 1 in 4 player. He'll have one good game in 4.
It's better than the team are doing at the moment.
This is it. And some games he's absolutely electric, and some games he's just completely off the pace. I think he's had a few injury problems. It's not quite worked out under Darryl Clark for him. Tom Pope came out and kind of did a little interview about him, kind of moving to Warsaw, kind of say what type of player he was. And Tom Pope recognised, very kind of experienced striker, worked with Devante a lot, and said, look, he's a good player, he's a good lad. He's got all the abilities that you want in a League Two player, and he can progress up the ladder. And he thinks he'll do well. But, time will tell. And, you never quite know. But I think he's definitely, at the very least, he's exciting.
Well, if I'd known we were going into that such depth, I would have come out with some numbers for him. But
you would have delved into the contacts. I'm sure you've got much better contacts than I have. Mine's just my old manager.
Well, sometimes you need a voice of a fan to get an honest opinion.
Exactly.
Right, where are we? Completely lost. We've got a couple of questions that are very similar, so I'm going to go for the one in the middle and then address the other two. Mm-hmm. Stuart B, give me a realistic reason to buy a season ticket, footballing reason, next season. I'm going with a bold prediction.
Right.
Because if you buy a season ticket next season, you will see Rory Holden play. No, I think
that is a bold prediction.
It's a bold prediction. No, all jokes aside, I think I feel that if he doesn't announce retirement at the end of the season, which is when I think he would, there is still the hope, but it's the hope that kills you. For me, my real answer to that is that in my ever optimistic mood, are going to say that the club have not invested as much now to give it a go next season.
My answer to that would be, we were having a positive episode. So if something ridiculous happens and we end up having a really, really great campaign next year and we're, in the playoffs, you'll be really upset that you didn't buy a season ticket because you'll have to pay £20 per home game. And if you go to every home game, it's so much more expensive. And you'll just be upset at yourself.
Two legit answers there.
Yes.
Both very optimistic. Jay Rayner and Ollie Walsall have both asked a very similar question. Jay Rayner said, how bad do you think the situation we are in is? And Ollie's put, how bad is the situation within the squad and will the players want to join the squad now? So two very similar questions. Harley, take it away.
I think we're past the worst of it. We've got players in. Nice. So even though from a squad perspective, we're past the worst of it. So we've got actual centre halves in now, and we've got more players. So we're not going to have the problem of we haven't got anybody to play centre half, and we're having to basically drag someone in, kicking and screaming. So from a team perspective, that's good, but we are in a mess, and it's something that Matt Taylor's going to have to really, really work on, and it's going to be a testament to his character and his ability as a manager, because this is going to be his toughest challenge, and it could be one of the toughest challenges of his career, because it's his first major hurdle, because it looks like he's lost the dressing room, and it's really hard to get them back. So, that it's not unfixable, but we are very much in a pit.
Yeah.
And only time will tell what's going to happen. And Matt Taylor, if he wants a career in management,
Has to
he's
overcome
gonna
these moments.
he has to deliver. He has to overcome this. To be quite honest,
I'm concerned in a sense that I feel that we've potentially hit our level, and that lower mid-table, upper bottom third is just where we're going to be. That's my worry, because I think we kind of touched on this yesterday, and you made a comment about that we get mediocre people in who do mediocre jobs, and at the moment, no one that's come into the club in recent times has done anything to go, God, they're good. And I think the situation we're in is, I don't see why rolling the dice in the summer and having a bit of an overhaul behind the scenes wouldn't be a bad thing. I think a fresh set of eyes to oversee a lot. This is very generic, because it my view is that it's a lot of areas. I think an overhaul behind the scenes would help things on the pitch as well. I think Walsall's very stale.
Yeah.
Incredibly stale, and things need to change. So that's my thing. I think as well with Taylor, when we had Dean Smith, yes, he did the Great Escape, which was unthinkable when he took over. He then had a really bad couple of seasons after that, and then it felt like something clicked. And I think I don't want to become the club that every season and a half changes manager in the hope that something clicks. I think we need to give a manager a real chance. And I think we need to stick by Taylor for at least 2 seasons to kind of let him get settled, let him implement his style, get everyone on board with it. And I hate using the phrase give it a go, but I think we need to let him give it a go, because all we're going to do is be sat here in a year's time with a new manager coming in going, well, the last 18 months was all right, wasn't great. This person's going to do a good job. Then 18 months later, we do the same thing. And we don't have the budget to keep burning through managers like that. So I think we are in a bit of a stale situation. And I think the changes need to be in various areas in the club. And I think it needs to hit the reset button behind the scenes.
Do you know what I'd like? I'd like that at the end of the season, Matt Taylor still be with us. We'll go into the summer and we bring in someone on a short-term basis, maybe a month or something, maybe 2 months. I don't know how to put this in a way that isn't going to sound a bit silly, but a kind of old, angry, shouty man we need. And what I mean by that is we need like a Neil Warnock or something. It's like someone experienced who kind of knows the game well and knows how clubs should function, to come in and say, this is how your club should be functioning. This is how winning sides function. Here's what you need to do. Here's A, B, C, D, and E of the things that you need to change. Someone who commands respect.
Yeah.
If Neil Warnock came into my house and said, you're not hoovering right, even though I'm 21 and I know how to hoover, I would absolutely go with what he's telling me, because he definitely knows more about hoovering than me.
You're only 21.
I am only 21.
Have we never spoken about that before?
No.
God.
I've just made you feel really old now, haven't I?
Yeah, actually, you have.
Yeah, I just saw like your face drop then.
Oh,
that realization that the years are ticking on.
Yeah. God, I mean, like, honestly, I was in my prime in the Dean Smith days. It came at the right time. But now I kind of feel like I appreciate football more. That I would have probably enjoyed him more while he was with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to answer the question of how bad a state are we in, we're in such a bad state that we need an old shouty man to come in at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. We did actually, I think we got a couple of questions come through. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button on my laptop. Today regarding potentially. So I'm just going to look. Wow, we've had quite a few. Mr. Blundo, how are Walsall ever going to challenge for promotion when they only sign non-league players and players that are free that no one else wants? Other teams always seem to have that bit more know-how. Yeah, I think we've kind of touched on this today and in the other video that it did seem like clubs around us were making signings that even teams below us that you're like, oh, that they'd be a decent player or they could do a job. I really don't have an answer to that. I think he's bang on. If you look at our best player, probably players, we signed Earring, who's come from non-league, and we've signed Kiernan, who had a season in League Two and didn't really look much, but did all right in non-league. But yeah, I don't quite know what to really say on that one.
There's nothing necessarily wrong with signing players from non-league because I think there's this kind of stigma around the non-league that the standard of football is awful. And while it's not great in League Two, the conference isn't that far away. And if you look at some of the better sides, you look at Earring, he's made that step up pretty seamlessly. So I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that because there are a lot of gems in the conference.
I also look and I go, well, actually, I think this is one of the first times that we've got proven League Two, League One experience throughout the whole squad. I mean, I'm just going to rattle off names. White had played in League Two. Stephen Ward's got Premier League experience. Granted, we know how that's going. Month proven at this level. Mills, yeah. Menais, same, proven at this level. Donovan Daniels, proven at this level. Labadie, Kiernan, obviously Kinsella. We'll gloss over Osadibi, Bates, and Earring. And then up top, Connor Wilkinson has played at this level before. Rodney has, and so's Miller. So I think we've actually got, at the moment, probably one of the most experienced squads we've had in a while.
And I think people criticize the players for not being good enough. But if you look at the players that we've brought in, a lot of them have been. And I'm not just talking about this season, I'm talking about Darryl Clark's kind of tenure. He brought in Adebayo, Rory Holden, Zach Jules. They were all excellent. He brought in James Clark, Cameron Norman. The problem isn't necessarily the players. In my opinion, we have got 80% of the squad that is good enough to challenge in the playoffs. We need a couple players, but the quality of player is there.
Yeah.
I don't question the ability of the players. I question their mentality and their work ethic. And that comes from the manager, I think.
You just mentioned Clark and Norman. They're third in League Two at the moment with Newport.
Yeah. We've had it's not like every single season we've had a squad where we've brought in nobody's from nowhere who have played in the Ishmael League or something. A lot of them we do bring in marquee signings, and a lot of them are quite good players who go on to do better elsewhere. Andy Cook, that was a really good signing under Dean Keats.
Yeah.
He played at Tranmere. You know, he was playing in the conference. He was banging in goals. He banged in goals for us. But it was the team around him that failed him, to be quite honest. The players aren't the issue here. Because if the players were the issue, this would only happen once. And it's happened 5-6 years in a row now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've had other few questions that I think we've kind of answered pretty much every topic that's been asked. So thank you for the questions. There's been a lot for this. Just a bit of an announcement, really, on our half. So this video will be the last that we do whilst I'm kind of running Vital. There'll be someone taking over in a couple of days' time. I know who it is, and none of you do. So that's.
I know who it is.
Oh yeah, I did tell you.
You did, yeah.
The person I've spoken to, and they have asked if we would carry on doing these videos because they enjoy them. They feel that we have a good rapport with the fans and with each other. And obviously, me and Harley said, bloody of course we will, because we love doing them. So we'll still be doing a monthly review and a Q&A each month for the foreseeable future. Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone for being awesome. And I'm very glad that this isn't like a farewell and that we'll still get to do these sort of on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I should say thank you to everyone who watches every single time. We really appreciate your support, and I'm so glad that we're carrying on doing this. When Rob told me he didn't want to carry on with Vital Warsaw anymore and that he couldn't, my first question was, can we keep doing these? Because I really like doing them, and
it's a bit of therapy. We'll admit,
it is
the bit of therapy.
And we have a good laugh doing it, and it's nice to see that people enjoy it, because we get the regulars who come on and they comment on every video and they go loved it, and to me that makes me happy.
Yeah, it really does make a difference. Like, I'm just gonna fire up YouTube now while we're talking. I mean, the video that we released, the kind of effectively the counterpart to this one, has been a really popular video, and we had a few comments and quite a lot of views on it, and it's only been live for like a few hours. And the comments that we've had on Twitter and over on the Facebook pages as well, everyone's sort of, even if they don't agree with us on points, it's nice that people engage in the conversations. And we don't expect people to agree with everything we've said. We just like the fact that people are watching it and form their own opinions, and will structure them and sort of debate with us on it, because it's what football fans should do. They should be able to talk and air opinions. So yeah, we thank you for all of those. And yeah, so the Vital page will still be running. It will be a seamless transition, and each month we will still be putting out posts to get your questions in, and that'll be all orchestrated. So hopefully we'll be catching you for a end of February review that will be a fantastic month.
It will. It's gonna be a great month. I've looked at the fixture list and I went, it's gonna be a great month. Yeah.
I actually think that we're in a position where no one's expecting anything of this team.
That is true.
So I'll end with one comment. Surely it can't get any worse, can it?